morning to you all, and thank you very much for inviting me on your esteemed platform. My name is Prince Kwame Minka, as you might be aware already. I've been doing journalism for the past 20 years, but on my 18th year, I decided to branch into something else. As you may have been told already, I am currently the Media Relations Officer at the Ghana GoldBod. And that transition, I'll come to it shortly. But before then, when we talk about storytelling, we're talking about incidences, events, and how it is creatively crafted for a specific audience. That's what storytelling is all about. And today on this platform, I'm going to be telling you more about what it takes to be able to tell an effective story. But I had a conversation with one of your organizers, and I told him that the one who created the universe and who inspired a number of the apostles and prophets to write the Bible himself is a storyteller. Life itself is a story that we are all telling day in and day out as we live and we retire to bed and wake up the following morning and go about our various events. That in itself is a story. So that affirms my point that the creator of the universe, our God, Dieu, is a storyteller. So life events and things that happens around us that are creatively crafted and scribbled and put in books and sometimes on TV, in films, those are stories. I love to tell stories. I mean, growing up in Liberia and then in Ghana, I was that kind of kid that was best described as one who has wild imagination. So, I could tell stories. And then I didn't have the training. So when I was in basic school, I remember Christian Preparatory School, myself and my friends, we set up a group called the Christian Writers Association. And what we're basically doing was writing about our friends and incidences in school. I'm sure that is when I honed the skills. And then that culminated into my desire in becoming a storyteller on radio and then on TV. So on radio, this is after secondary school, I decided to go and read the news on Ahinima Radio. It's a local station that was established in Kumasi in the 90s. So in the early 2000s, I decided to try my shot at Ahinima Radio without any journalism training. So here's how I did it. I chanced on Ahinima Radio 87.9, now Akuma FM in Kumasi. And then I heard two ladies reading the news. And I felt like, look, I could do better than them. Prior to that, I had been monitoring Komla Dumo, Israel Lai, and many other presenters on Joy FM, whose program were being piped on Love FM in Kumasi. And then I would record them. And then I'll play back. And then I'll do what they do on radio and record myself and play back. And then try to see if I'm catching up or getting closer to what I heard on the radio. And so just like David in the wilderness or David caring for the sheep, that is how I trained myself. And just as David encountered Saul and told Saul that he could deal with Goliath, same thing would happen to me when I went to Ahinima Radio and I told the news editor that I could present the news, even though I didn't have any training in journalism. He was wondering if I could really do it. And he gave me a shot. And just as David threw that stone and killed Goliath, I was able to kill my Goliath on that day. I killed fear, I killed doubt, and I killed anything that held me back. And from that moment, I became unstoppable. From Ahinima Radio to Ash FM to Boss FM to City FM to TV Africa to Pravda Radio to Joy News Multi TV, from Joy News Multi TV to from Joy News Multi TV, then I went to Ultimate FM in Kumasi, then from Ultimate FM in Kumasi to Class FM. It's a long journey, follow through. From Ultimate FM to Class FM, from Class FM was in the morning show, then back to Joy FM, and then Joy News, Then there, I didn't spend a lot of time. From there, when I came to Radio XYZ. And then from Radio XYZ, I went to TV Africa again, then came back to XYZ Broadcasting again. And then I stayed at XYZ Broadcasting until the end of the elections 2024. But in all these, one thing that I learned was that I took pride in my talent and I wanted to protect it. And I always pride myself in having an environment that would help me share my talent with the rest of the world. So anything that militated against my talent, that made me uncomfortable to be able to share with the rest of the world, I decided to move away from it. And so that's the reason for the several movements from one radio station to the other. Not as if to say that I was sacked, but most of them I resigned from post. That wasn't about running away from my duty, but that was looking for a comfortable place where I could share my talent with the rest of the world. And here's a pointer for you. With that talent in you, there are events and activities that would come at you that will make it difficult for you to be able to share it with the rest of the world. But that should not stop you. It should inspire you to continue to do more and find places or environments that are conducive enough for you to explore your talent and also share with the world. I see this talent I have as one given to me by God, not for me, but for me to share it with the world. And so through the reporting from Agbogbloshie Market, fire incidences, people who had settled on illegal land that were being asked to move away, decongestion exercise, through to reporting from various press conferences and various conferences and summits. It was all about how does it affect the ordinary man? How do I craft my story so that everyone's voice is heard? That was what drove me. That was what drove me. And that is what is still driving me. So even if I should do a political story, there must be an element of that story that should talk about its impact on the people. There must be an element of that story that talks about how those at the top see the people below or those that they serve. And that is what drove me. Even when I was hosting a morning show on TV XYZ and Power FM, the early morning rantings that you heard me do was always inspired by how the people of Ghana felt within that 8-year period. The economic situation in the country, how they were not feeling it in their pockets, how they were not seeing any improvement or development in their lives. That is what drove me to rant in the manner in which I did. I probably might have stepped on toes, but it was for the good. It was for the general good. I didn't insult. So that's another point for you. Very important. In your passionate moment to tell the story of the people or the people's story, you must not also sound condescending or insulting. You must not insult. You must use creative means of communicating. If you want those at the top or those at the echelon of power to feel or appreciate the pain of the people, if you're on TV, tell the story with the videos or the pictures. If you're on radio, with the manner in which you would sound, how your voice would rise and fall, how you would tune your voice in a sorrowful manner to connote people asking for help in the Volta region. When that flooding situation occurred and people had nowhere to live and they were crying onto government to come to their aid. And then the president goes to the Volta region, the then president, now former president, the Akufo-Addo, goes to the Volta region and then speak in that manner. You portray that story with the video, and then in the tone of your voice, you amplify how the people feel. That is storytelling. And one of my role models, Komla Dumo, who I looked up to, was a passionate person when it comes to telling the African story. And in one of his TEDx talk, he puts it bluntly that, yes, I am telling an African story. Over the years, people were concentrating on the mud houses, the poverty. But Africa is rising. That's a story that also needs to be told. But it must be told in a balanced manner. So, whilst you're speaking to the all high and mighty in the society, you should also be able to get a perspective of the downtrodden and those who benefit from those key policies that those in the echelons of power are providing. So they are very essential. Now, one key element of storytelling is confidence, being able to articulate in a manner that is understandable and believable. How do you do this? There's a popular saying that knowledge is power. With knowledge comes power. With power comes a greater responsibility. So power is not absolute. When you have the power, you have a responsibility to be able to exercise the power. But the only way you can have the power is through knowledge. So you must have knowledge of the subject that you are discussing, the subject that you are sharing with the people through the story that you are telling. If it's got to do with sanitation, you must have a grasp of the sanitation situation in the country. If there are data and statistics that you'd want to share, the only way that you'll be able to confidently share it is through your knowledge of the data and then the statistics that you're churning out. And so knowledge is key. Knowledge is the only way that will generate that power that you need, which is already in you because you were created by God and you were created in His image. It is the only way that you'll be able to exercise that authority and power in you to confidently articulate the story. And so for me, that has been the journey. It has been a journey of understanding and appreciating creation, understanding and appreciating the talent given to me by the Almighty God, and then being able to also listen to the people. So when you go out there and then you're conducting interviews, say you're doing a vox pop, okay? Vox pop is when you go on the street and you're sampling the opinions of the people. When you're sampling the opinions of the people, you should have the ability to listen to what they say. You don't go putting the microphone at them or shoving the microphone at them just because you need them to say just anything. You should be able to listen to them so that you can flow with them. When you flow with them, you get the best out of them. So the best vox pops that you see on TV and hear on radio are the ones done by journalists or reporters who have the ability to listen. So you listen and then you flow with them. There's one example I'll cite. Recently, there was an interview by this young lady on TV3, Cookie T. She went to the railway, one of these railway lines or railway stations, and then found some young men sleeping under a train. And then she had a very interesting conversation with them. Now, that conversation lasted for well over 10 minutes, erupted or brought up a number of issues that has generated a conversation about the need to pay particular attention to public transport, i.e., the railway situation and then the train situation in the country. So these are young men who sell, imported clothing at Cantamanto. And they feel that, look, in the afternoon when they have nothing to do, they can come and catch what they call glory under the train. Glory is have a peace of mind, sleep under the train. And then Cookie, who was listening with rapt attention, asked a very important question. What if the train is about to move? Then you have another person come in and say that, look, if the train is about to move, they will definitely honk and you hear it and your attention will come to it. Then she comes with another follow-up. So follow-up is necessary. The only way you can ask a very good follow-up is when you are doing and listening and you're listening attentively. Then she comes up with a follow-up and says that, so what if you're in a deep sleep? What would you do if the train is moving? Then another guy comes in and say that, look, for us, we are like a family here. And so because we are a family here and we care about each other, if it should so happen, we will definitely wake you up. If we have to slap you, we'll slap you. Then the conversation degenerates into the need for employment opportunities. It degenerates into the need to improve our transport system. So she was able to get an interview which generated multiple conversations, because when she put the microphone before the gentleman to ask him that one important question, she listened with rapt attention, was able to ask a number of follow-ups that triggered a number of conversations. That is a good storyteller. Komla Dumont, again, goes to one of these African countries, and then the subject matter was diamond, how they are treating diamond and how they are beginning to cut diamonds in their own country. Ideally, a foreign journalist will come into such a setting with one thinking: these people are poor. They don't have the expertise. They don't have the skills. And so the question will hover around that. But Komla Dumont, being an African and who has lived on the African continent all his life, goes in with a proper appreciation of how the people have struggled and have been able to reach that level. So you should be able to understand your subject, appreciate your subject, appreciate the matter that you are treating, the story that you are telling, so that you'll be able to ask the necessary question that will generate the necessary answers for you to be able to creatively put your piece together and then tell a proper story. So confidence is key, knowledge is important, and above all, you need the personality to be able to drive the story. What is personality? The aura you carry, the charisma you carry, how you carry yourself when you meet the person you're going to interview. If it's a presidential interview, how do you sit? What should be your posturing? If it's an interview with, say, a drug dealer, what should be your posturing? If it's an interview with a rebel leader in a war-torn country, what should be your certain posturing? What should be the tone of your voice? How do you approach this person that you're going to interview? So all these are elements that come to play when it comes to storytelling. And I'm sure this is the right moment for me to shift from storytelling to the transition to public service. So it is with all these expertise that I will humbly say and submit to you that I bring into public service. I've never done public, service before. I've never worked at the public sector before. This is my first. And coming in with this expertise and this experience, I think it's been my guiding light all through. And I take each day at a time, humbly, each day at a time. And I try to be guided by what I know, and then I unlearn to learn. So when you come into a new space, the things that you probably thought was the status quo, you may be surprised that it isn't. And so what do? You unlearn to learn. So what you know, you discard it, not entirely, but you position yourself to learn new things. And the new things that you learn will give you new experiences. I hope I've been able to make your day. Thank you very much, and I'll be expecting your questions. And when they come at the right time, I will answer them. Thank you.